This is my review of Assassination Classroom. Okay, so in this episode, Class 3E competes with the rest of the school in their finals. The finals exams are kind of, well, they're kind of choreographed and set kind of like they're fighting in an arena, which is a cool concept, and it's kind of entertaining just seeing Class 3E face down against giant monsters alongside the rest of the school, when in actuality they're just taking midterms. It's a fun analogy since midterms, since obviously finals are kind of rough, kind of a beast, and Kuningi Gaukas are no exception to that. In fact, in universe they're actually a lot worse than a normal final would be, and when they first sit down to take the final, Nagisa even remarks that to himself and the audience. He pointing out that that while the midterms were no joke, the finals kind of just took that and ramped it up to 100. But in case everybody does well at their subjects, or at least to the best of their ability, and after 2 days they finally get their test results back. And not surprisingly, several of Class 3E students got top spots in the entire school. Isegai, Okuda, and Rio all got three of the five top spots, which puts them on a course to actually, not only win their bet, but also disable 3 of their tentacles. 3 of Core Sensei's tentacles, which he designates to be destroyed at a later date. However, and unfortunately, Karma, who was very cocky about going into finals, has suddenly done a complete 180, because he kind of didn't do very well on the finals. And it shows, and he's ultimately very upset, and he eventually goes outside and leaves. And Core Sensei eventually does kind of goad him into doing a better job next time, by just breaking down his ego a little bit, so that he'll actually be willing to focus and do better. And this causes Karma to become very flustered and upset with Core Sensei, and he just runs off. And when Karasuma remarks to Core Sensei if that was actually necessary to do that, and if it was a little bit harsh, Core Sensei remarks that yes, and that was exactly the point. He wanted to not only point out that Karma needs to work hard, because working hard is important, and Karma just kind of doesn't do that. He's the kind of person who just kind of lets the chips land where they may, and is just kind of arrogant about the whole thing. So this whole learning experience about how you shouldn't just coast through life will most likely help him become a better assassin, as well as a better student going forward. So, and hopefully Karma is able to take that going forward. But in case Core Sensei returns back to the classroom and points out that he's happy that the students all did well on their finals. And remarks to himself that he's happy that he only has to deal with 3 tentacles being destroyed, since multiples since more than 6 he probably would have been a problem. However, it's then revealed that there was actually a bit of a loophole, as it were, regarding the test scores. As it turns out, Terasuga and his buddies, they all 4 of them placed in the top. They all got perfect scores, which means they got 4 of the top marks in home ec. Which brings the 3 up to 7. And understandably, Core Sensei is a little bit upset by that, pointing out that wasn't part of the deal, and is very adamantly freaking out a little bit. But eventually the students decide to calm him down and point out that they're going to be making a bit of a change to their wager regarding the tentacles. And it involves what the school pamphlet, which we do eventually figure out what exactly it is they're going to be doing with that in this episode. But I'm going to get to that in a minute. But in any case, in case, Asano and his cronies are understandably a little upset about the fact that they lost, and they have to deal with that. Asano, but worse than others, since his father gives him a bit of a scolding too, pointing out that he quickly figured out what his son was up to, and points out that he's not going to be able to get his secrets that easily. So with that, so not only is he upset about the fact that he lost several of his top spots to Class E, which shouldn't happen under normal circumstances, but Koro Sensei is a hell of a teacher, so obviously that was going to happen regardless. But on top of that, he's also upset by the fact that his father chewed him out and figured out his plan immediately, and naturally is a little on edge. And it isn't helped by the fact that at that same day they have to go to an assembly, and Class 3E has to be there since they're kind of part of the assembly. And they naturally go there to confront Asano, who's kind of trying to shirk off the idea that the fact that they made a deal. Although Terasuka calls him out on it when he gets there, pointing out that not only did he lose 3 of the top spots and a deal is a deal, but even if he didn't, they got 4 of the top spots in home ec, which none of them were prepared for. So basically, regardless, he's either can count the 3 that count, or the 7 that do and don't. So either way, Asano lost and he has to deal with it. And understandably, the entire school knows it. They know that during the assembly, they know that Class 3E got so many of the top spots, and excelled at getting up to the 50th percentile or more. So the fact that they kind of intruded on something that normally isn't supposed to be possible is kind of upsetting them, and the usual Class 3E is terrible shit doesn't land, like, at all. So, and Koro Sensei and Irina, who are kind of not allowed to go to the assembly due to what happened last time they were there, begin to remark to themselves about what that would mean, about how sneaky Terasuka and his buddies were. But Koro Sensei remarks that while he is a little bit pissed that they found a loophole in their plan, he is also admirable about the fact that they were willing to put so much work into home ec, since home ec isn't one of those things you prepare for. Home ec is a very interesting course to take a final in, since because it isn't really nailed down by concrete rules. Basically you can make up whatever recipes you want as long as it turns out okay. It'll be fine. And because of that, the professors are able to just kind of whip up whatever final they feel like. So the fact that they were able to not only prepare for a course like that, but also ace it with flying colors is kind of impressive to Koro Sensei. So while he is a little bit mad, he can't be mad for very long. But eventually, but during the assembly, Dr. Asano is understandably watching the whole thing from his office, on the security systems, and he's more than a little upset by the fact that Class 3E is now showing themselves to be more than competent and serving as a shining beacon for the rest of the school to serve under, because as he points out, that's not supposed to happen. They're supposed to serve as what not to do and what happens when you screw up. So the fact that they're not only catching up to the rest of the school, and are proving that they can be a worthy example to be set by, that's not what Class 3E is supposed to serve in his system. So he realizes he needs to do something quickly, or things are going to get radically out of hand. But in any case, after the assembly is over, they go. Class 3E goes back to the satellite campus. At which point it's revealed what's actually going to happen, and what Class A was kind of forced to agree to. As it turns out, the entire school goes on a class trip to Okinawa if they do well on the finals. And since almost everybody in Class 3E did well on the finals, that means that they're entitled to go on a trip as well. So they kind of have no choice but to be admitted to Class 3E on a school trip. So Yeah, Core Sensei is understandably a little upset since not only did they change the deal with his tentacles where they get to destroy them once they're at Okinawa, but on top of that, Okinawa is an island surrounded by water, which is making Core Sensei nervous, and he openly states that to the class. But points out that since they passed their finals, he's more than willing to indulge them. And points out that now that the first term is over, he's more than happy to take them on a trip and show off just how well they've done. And remarks that they're more than entitled to a time to relax. So basically this episode just shows that Class 3E isn't something to be underestimated anymore. It basically because they did so well on their finals, they kind of just shifted the status quo of the entire school, and now Class 3E is a shining example of how to improve and do better at your schoolwork, despite everybody else hating you. So basically the status quo flipped to a complete 180 after the finals, and now Gakko Asano has to find a way to fix that, or quote unquote, as he puts it. So it's gonna be interesting because now Gakko Asano's whole teaching methodology has been challenged, and he's not too happy with that. He's a little bit upset by that. So I'm assuming he's going to take more measures into his own hands to try and restore the school to the status quo, as it were. But in any case, that's my review of Assassination Classroom. What did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook and on Twitter in the description below. And also, if you want to help support the show, then be sure to check out my Patreon in the description below as well. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks that I'm my way saying thanks. So be sure to check those out in the description below as well. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!